Top headlines in the morning. Here we go. Good morning, Sandy. How are you?
Good morning, Blake.
What do you got for us for headlines on a Wednesday morning?
Happy Wednesday.
Yeah.
So the police are still looking for a gentleman who they say, they're trying to locate. Seems like he's really MIA. But he is wanted. His name is, let me just get his full name, Mr. Noel Paul Manning, and he's been missing since Sunday, June the 26th, and it is almost a month, and he still remains missing. So they're continuing to encourage any members of the public that if you see Mr. Noel Paul Manning, to please let them know, because they're still trying to locate him. And there's another man.
Is he wanted for something, or is he just missing?
They say that they've received a report of a missing person from his
Okay.
But I think he may have a court matter that's coming up soon.
Okay.
The police don't necessarily need him right now, but some people are wondering if he's disappeared because of that situation. So
Gotcha.
Yes, they're keeping an eye on that. So good news from Cayman Airways.
Okay.
If you enjoy flying to Jamaica, you can now go back to Montego Bay. So Cayman Airways has resumed flights to Montego Bay. So check out the schedule. And Cayman Airways is actually gearing up for some new destinations as well. Had
they stopped Montego Bay for a while? Is that
yes.
Due to COVID, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
Resuming service on nonstop on August the 4th. And you can check it out. They leave in an evening flight, gets in around 7:15, and then it returns the same evening and gets back within a couple hours. So check that out if you need to get in and out of Jamaica and you're in that side of the island, because I understand that it's a lot more convenient for people to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Dancehall artiste Merciless was found dead yesterday in a Kingston hotel. A bit of regional news. A lot of people are saddened by this. He apparently is well known in the dancehall community. They say that foul play is not suspected. They don't yet know his cause of death, but apparently he was found dead by his driver and motel staff. And he did go in the hotel earlier in the day by himself, and he was supposed to be picked up that yesterday evening. And when his driver got no answer, he became concerned, gained access to the room, and unfortunately, they found him.
Who is this again? What's his name?
Merciless.
Merciless. Okay.
Yeah, his real name is Leonard Bartley. And he is from Clarendon, Jamaica, 51 years old.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Excited to hear that.
Yeah. Probably just like a little heart attack or something.
Hmm.
Congratulations to the Cayman Islands government, who've been rewarded over 1.2 million euros for the Resembed grant to improve energy efficiency. So this is big news. Resilience, Sustainable Energy and Marine Biodiversity Program. That's what Resembed stands for. Recently awarded the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resilience more than 1.2 million euros to improve energy efficiency in public sector buildings and government-built affordable housing. So this is quite good. Resembed is founded by the European Union and implemented by Expertise France. And they also recently gave over $400,000 to the University College of the Cayman Islands to run training programs. And some of those are surrounding sustainability and solar programs, tourism, and so on. So this is pretty awesome that this funding is available through the European Union. And it kind of got me to thinking, when the UK is no longer, like, that's completely done, does that mean that we can't access EU funding? That kind of makes me a little bit sad.
Don't know the answer to that.
Neither do I, but I suspect that could be something to be concerned about. Yeah. So those are some of your news headlines today.
All right. Thank you for that. Of course, you can catch Sandy's show coming up at 7:30 on Bobo 89.1 FM. And then we'll see you back here tomorrow for our Thursday morning headlines. Have a good one, okay?
Sounds good.
All right.
All righty, folks. Good morning. How is everyone? I'm going to put some music back on because what was I just thinking that I forgot? I've got water. I've got tea. And got my laptop because I've got some notes. There was something else that I was just remembering that, I forgot to grab. I got my glasses so I can actually see, although they're kind of dirty. Ooh, hi, chow. Nobody can see through those things. Can't remember what it is. Oh, the show phone. Yes, 1 second now. Hold on. Coming right back.
Sorrel, ginger, beaver grass, or English. Get it ready. Your morning tea just got hotter.
Ooh, honey child.
On the cold, hard truth. Bobo 89.1 and Cayman's #1 talk show are bringing you morning talk like no one else. Monday Rewind. Impact Wednesdays, Caribbean Connections, and much more. Don't miss a beat with what's happening in the local community. Just keep sipping your tea.
What a mess.
Here's your host, live and direct from the Cayman Islands, Sandy Hill.
Good morning, Cayman. Rise and shine. Get up and at 'em. Let's get it. Let's get it. Happy Wednesday. It is Hump Day Wednesday, July the 20th. Can you guys believe it? Less than a month away is actually my birthday. My birthday is August 18th. And Gianna's birthday is coming up on the 9th. So she still gets a birthday party. I was trying to explain to her yesterday. She's like, oh, I don't want to turn 6. I'm like, what's the difference between 5 and 6? She's like, 5 was fun. And I thought, oh, Lord. I said, trust me, 6 is going to be fun too. Like it's legit because you get a birthday party. And I tried to explain to her, I said, do you know that after a certain age, you just don't really have parties anymore? And she was like, what? I said, yep, that's why you should enjoy it while you can, because life is not always going to afford you the luxury of somebody else throwing a party for you. And honey child, parties are not cheap now. You guys know how it is. You got to be trying to think of a venue. And, you know, if you've done it like one place before, you're like, how many years ago was that? You don't want to do it the same place every single year. I don't want to do it at home because then that means more cleanup work for me. So sometimes I legit don't mind having it elsewhere. Because then, you know, your place is a mess and you spend more time cleaning up and doing dishes and, you know, all sorts of stuff. And in typical Caribbean fashion, when we have a party, especially at home, you know, you're not really doing no hot dogs and stuff. Every year, every time we have a party, my husband's like, yeah, let's do some hot dogs and pizzas. We're like, okay, yep, that sounds good. This year, we're going to do hot dogs and pizza. And oh my God, just never happens. Because then you're like, we got adults coming. I feel like we always have more adults at her parties than children because, you know, it's just one of those things. A lot of her friends don't actually have kids or they're already past that age where they're done and their kids are adults. So, yes, we like, okay, you know, the curry chicken, the rice and beans. And then I'm like, okay, you can't have that without plantain and you need some vegetables. And the next thing you know, you got a whole buffet full of food. KK says, send a cake to school and call it a day. You know, when you have summer birthdays, it's a little bit different. When she was still in daycare, it was so much easier to do that. And we did it one year. We surprised her. I think that was when she was, I want to say she was 2. And we surprised her at school with a birthday cake and everything. And she started crying. I think she was in a state of shock. Like she wasn't expecting to like see us. And it was such a surprise. And you forget that like 2-year-olds don't really fully understand surprises yet. The surprises are supposed to be good. And she saw her dad in this cake and she started crying. I was like, oh my God. That was not the response that we were expecting. But anyway. So this year we're thinking water park theme, and we called around a couple places. And let me tell you, given that we're surrounded by water, sometimes going to the beach and just having a little something on the beach might be the best thing to do because that's like free. But yeah, some of these facilities, they're like, oh yeah, you need to rent out the entire facility, and it's like $3,000. I'm like, what? Okay, if I had $3,000 in the birthday budget, I would be taking a trip and make this child experience another world outside of Cayman, and that would be her birthday present. And I think that's what I'm going to start doing coming up for birthdays. Like seriously. So she's in summer camp, so I think a lot of her friends, you know, they're doing other camps and stuff like that. So she wants to see her friends. But oh Lord, when do you start birthday parties? By the way, can I stop at 10? Like after 10, can I just not have any more until she's like 16? And that's a big one, I guess. Diamond Princess, good morning. Boom Flick is here. Carmelie, good morning. Marshall, good morning. Miss Vernita's here. These are the things that you got to talk about. Yes, I saw that prison sentence case, actually. I need to have Renee look at one. So these people like to Sending Renee a quick message because she's going to be out this morning. But yeah, these people love to appeal, child, because they're appealing on our dime. So why not? We pay for the appeal. So their lawyers are like, oh, yes, you might not have the best chance in the world, but let's appeal it anyway because they get paid. They get a payday. So yes, the court has held up several of those sentences, although they were rather lengthy sentences. And I think that's a good sign. If you want to be importing cocaine, crack, methamphetamine, whatever else into this country, you should know that there are consequences that certainly come with that. So Court of Appeal, I should have oh gosh, is it time for me to renew my subscription to Judicial already? It's popping up. I think it might be. Oh no, I can still get in. I never know when it's time because I don't think they send reminders. So you guys know you have access to the Judicial website here, and you can look at all sorts of stuff. You pay this annual subscription fee, and they give you one or two. Ooh, this one's in court again. They give you one or two cases for the year, and then everything else you have to actually pay for in addition to the subscription. Good luck on them, honey chill. So we have, I think mine might have auto renewed because all of a sudden it's just downloaded a case for me, which I didn't really want because then that uses up your 1 of 2 credits, right? Anyway, I'll send this to Renee. So this is Wayne Carlos Miles. Y'all remember him. Isn't he the one who, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't he the one who was also pimping out women? Hold on now. I'm pretty sure that is him. Wayne Carlos Miles. Wow, we have had some real characters in the Cayman Islands. Wayne Carlos Miles. Yes, let me see now. I'm pretty sure this is the one who was acting as a pimp. Oh, yes, honey child. That's him. Lord Jehovah. Pimp. Sentenced to guilty of 6 out of 11 charges. Back in May of 2019, he was found guilty on 6 charges for pimping, basically. I'm not lying. I'm not making this up. I was saying to someone yesterday, I don't make up the news or what's happening in the community. I'm just here to report on it. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Thank you, KK, for bringing that up. Zambula, sorry. We will have a chat about that. Marshall is asking about Misha. She's good. She's on the road to recovery. So you guys might have noticed a little bit of a shift with the evening news. So Kevin has taken over doing the evening news. He was doing weather anyway, but he's going to actually do the evening news for a little bit. Basically, Misha is a young mom and, can't get her baby in daycare because all the daycares are filled up until next year. So that's really, really difficult when she's working with a system that requires her to have news done by a certain time. And it's a lot harder than people think to pull the news segment together. You've got to be looking for news stories all day. And then if anything breaking happens, you got to be on top of it. So Kevin, although he works full time, he has a little bit more flexibility. Some days he's actually working from home. And of course, you guys know that Kevin has a TV background. So he's a little bit quick on the editing and that sort of thing. And he can put it together a lot quicker. And so while Misha was on medical leave, Kevin kind of stepped up to the plate, and we were finding that, in fact, it was kind of working better. And I think Misha just needed the break as well. And she probably wasn't realizing how stressed she was by trying to meet all of these deadlines. So yeah, so Kevin is taking it over for now. We will, see how it goes. There's always got to be flexibility when you're in business, child. And you've got to work with, what you have. And, right now, I think Kevin is in a better position to do it. It's kind of like when there was that shooting that night. That was one of the highest rated news segments because Kevin was able to quickly put that into the news. And although you guys are watching it live, you still wanted more of it. So you tuned in for the news segment. And that's just how news works, honey child. News not sitting down waiting on nobody. News has to be timely. And that's, what people want. So good morning, Miss Judy. Miss Judy says, well, my son is 10, and since age 6, he's been saying he doesn't want to party. As it approaches, it all changes. Part of life, hashtag part of being a parent. Okay. Oh my goodness. So he keeps changing his mind. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give my daughter a choice, like coming up here shortly, like party or trip. Like we can save all that money and you could see something different, you know? I can understand right now it's super cheap to go to Europe because of the dollar compared to, the pound and everything else. You just jump on a little flight to Europe and you can, you know, have a nice little vacay. And she keeps talking about all these places she can actually get to see them. I think life experiences and traveling is so incredibly critical. I wish I had the opportunity to travel so much more, but hey, my life ain't over. Here's to traveling. Cheers to that. Good morning, Miss Omiria. How are you? She said, I got some cappuccino from Price Right and honey child. It's so nice, hot or cold, in milk, sipping as we speak. What? So I'm still sipping on my what is it? Akanichi, whatever, immune booster. Now, yesterday was the first time I had this. And guess what? This morning I woke up with a sore throat. I'm like, wait a minute. How does that work? The day I start taking an immune booster, I was like, oh yeah, I need an immune booster. I wake up with a sore throat. Not really feeling that situation. And this morning's message says your inner self is your inner guide. Hey, positive thought for the day. So yes, I'm gonna have to COVID test later on, make sure that it's not that. I've still been trying to be very, very careful, but child, everybody's walking around without a mask these days. So the BA.5 variant is out there lurking, ready to grab you. And I'm actually going to go and get another booster. So I did my first booster. I can't remember when now, but I'm actually going to go and get another boost, even if it just helps a little bit, because I know this variant is pretty much resistant to the vaccine and they're working on tweaking it and that sort of thing. But, the medical advice is still get it now. And then in the fall, you may have to get it again after it's boosted. But there's so many people who are getting reinfected right now. And apparently, even if you've had it before or you've been vaccinated, a reinfection is likely to be worse than the initial infection. So I know a lot of you have had COVID and you're like, oh, that was easy. That was a ride in the park, honey child. That wasn't nothing to worry about, Sandy. But the second time you get it, research is showing that it's going to take much more of a toll on you than it did the first time. So Zambula says the Yarde that got arrested. What's the matter? Someone leaking info. Which one are we talking about? I'm not sure. So KK says COVID is still out there. Not wearing your mask isn't going to help you. Hashtag wear your mask. Yes. It was like back in the day, turn of your yard, wear your mask. So we got a lot to talk about today. Some topics are very, very sensitive, and I'm going to broach them here in just a second. But yes, honey child, COVID is still very much out there. We hope that Minister Sabrina is feeling okay. She's the last member of the PAC government to fall by the wayside with a COVID infection. The premier recently was infected as well. Has Chris Saunders had it? Like, I'm going through a mental list. I don't think that Chris has had it yet. And I don't think that Minister Brian has had it. Minister Jay. I don't think Andre has had it either. So they still got a few people that could be catching it. Thank you. So Oscar says in order to get the COVID second booster, it has to be 6 months in the first booster. Is it 6 months? I'm going to double check. But I can't honestly remember when I got it. It was the time that they had it in Savannah. Anybody who lives in the Savannah, they had it at the MP's office, at Wayne and Heather's office. When would that have been? I can't remember. But I don't think, Oscar, that they're even having you wait 6 months anymore, because what has been happening is that it's weaning after or before the 6 months. So yes, I think you might have to get it done before then. Interesting. So listen, here's what we're going to be talking about this morning. It's a challenging conversation. And oftentimes I think about my role, even on this opinion-based show. I think about, why am I here? What's my role? What am I doing? And I recognize that I have an obligation to have conversations that are actually happening in the community. Sometimes, quite frankly, there are things that I don't necessarily personally care about, but I'm not here for my own entertainment, if that makes any sense, right? I am here for you all. And so what that means is that sometimes we will have conversations that have been brought to the table, and you all want to be discussing it. And I'm like, okay, let's discuss it.
I'm having trouble connecting.
Here, Alexa.
Try.
Here, Alexa, but she having trouble connecting. So this is one of those conversations that is going to be very, very difficult. And I will try to make it as, I don't even know what the word is. I just got to tell the cold hard truth. And, I'll try to make it not as hard, perhaps. It might be cold, but maybe it won't be as hard, the truth. I'm going to try to, how do you soften the truth, man? The truth is just what it is. All right. Y'all are wondering, what the hell is Sandy talking about this morning? Okay. So I received, morning, Jonathan. Jonathan's always here. Good morning, Jonathan. So good to see you. So I received some information a couple weeks ago about a Miss Cayman contestant. And this person said to me, I'm going to read you the context of the initial message, and then other people have since reached out, right? So this person said, hi, CMR. Apologies for reaching out this way, but I thought this would be the most appropriate forum. So they reached out on WhatsApp. No problem. You guys you can message me on WhatsApp. As a concerned citizen of the Cayman Islands, I would be grateful if you could clarify the following in respect of the Miss Cayman Islands pageant. I want to be very clear on this. This is the Miss Cayman Universe, because there's two pageants now. And one is the Miss Cayman World, and one is Miss Cayman Universe. So the pageant that this particular person is talking about is the government-sponsored pageant. Yes? They say, after doing some research into the various contestants, can we as a community get some clarity on Miss Tiffany Conley? As a contestant who may very well go onto the world stage at Miss Cayman Islands Universe, has she been cleared of the charges for which she was before the courts earlier this year? I understand the concept of guilty until proven innocent. No, it's supposed to be the other way around. It's supposed to be innocent. They did say guilty until proven innocent, but it's supposed to be, well, I'm just going to read you what they said, because maybe they did mean to reverse it. They said, I understand the concept of guilty until proven innocent, but it strikes me as strange that she's allowed to participate. No, I think they meant innocent until proven guilty. That she's allowed to participate and potentially win given an ongoing court case for serious allegations. Has a verdict been rendered? A quick Google search of the criminal court records indicates that she appeared before Magistrate Gunn early this year, and they provide the case number. How are we to feel as a society if she wins and becomes internationally known? And the person signed it, and they said, a citizen of these beautiful islands legitimately concerned about our image. So, yes, I obviously read it, and I thought to myself, I need to look into this a little bit more, because this young lady has been in the news before. You guys will know this if you go and Google her name. She does come up on CMR for a number of different things, including an incident that happened at ex's house, where she was alleged to have gone there and done certain things, and she was arrested for that. She back in 2019, she was the the second runner-up, and she assaulted a carnival model. So there have been a number of things. February of 2019, sorry. This headline says beauty queen arrested twice in 48 hours. There's a situation with a car in August of 2018. That was a traffic situation. And a person had to, in order to get her to pay for damages to their vehicle after she left the scene of an accident, driving her sister's car, who, by the way, at the time was a Miss Cayman. People had just some real concerns about the whole thing, right? It has been one mess after the other. So let me tell you why I hesitate with Tiffany, because people have said that she has some mental health issues. And I don't ever want to be in a position for someone who has mental health issues to contribute to that in a negative way. But at the same time, because someone has mental health issues, does that mean that they are allowed to, in the last 4 years, get arrested multiple times, wreak havoc all over the community, and do whatever they want, and potentially still win a Miss Cayman pageant because we're afraid of stepping on their toes? You see the quandary? If we want to talk about, yes, mental health matters, and we need to get people the help that they need, ignoring the situations that they find themselves in and ignoring the decisions that they're making, maybe because of their mental health issues, can't be something that is seen to be what we're all about as a community. So we have to try to be supportive, but in being supportive, there is a degree of honesty that is required. And if someone is suffering from mental health issues, you have got to be prepared to get them the help that they need. But most importantly, they themselves have to be prepared to be receptive to the help. And mental health issues, it's an ongoing, everyday sort of situation. Like if you need to check in with your therapist every single day, then you do that. So when the person first sent me this court list, I thought, oh, this must be from the incident back in 2018, 2019. But of course, not knowing, I went to the court's office and I said, what is this? And then I looked at it, and it actually had a 2022 date. So these are new charges, right? And I thought, new charges? Well, that's different, because then it can't be those older cases that I'm thinking about. So I had no idea what this was about. So I said, let's be very, very cautious with this situation and ensure that we get all the facts. Well, y'all know I went fact finding. And I was a bit surprised to find out that this is a fresh and brand new case. Really disappointed, because it seems to be a pattern of behavior that just continually repeats itself. So here's what I know. And we have to have a coming to Jesus moment where we actually talk about the Miss Cayman committee, because I feel like they have put this young lady in a position, unfortunately, that I have to even talk about her this morning. And I'm going to put that on their shoulders. I'm going to tell you why here in a second. Okay. So I got to pull out the laptop, child, because my memory isn't what it used to be. And I don't want to make any mishaps. I don't want to say anything that isn't true about the situation. So what we have is an incident that happened in February of 2018 that ended up going to court. It was cause number 1132 of 2019. Yes. And to be fair to some of the victims out there, sometimes something would happen. In recognizing that there could be a mental health concern here, they tried to ignore the situation. So say, for example, an incident happened today. They didn't jump up the first time and call the police. They're like, okay, girl, just go away, sort yourself out, whatever, leave us alone. It was when it got to a point where they had no choice but to have the police intervene that the police were called. And I saw that with multiple of these offenses, right? So one of the interesting things is one of these is actually within her own home. So we'll talk about that one in a second. But the first one related to a boyfriend, I sympathize because we've all been there. We've all had a bad breakup or somebody pisses us off during a breakup and we do stuff that is not ladylike, not becoming, not gentlemanlike. And then, of course, we end up regretting it. And if it's something criminal, you might very well be facing some charges as it relates to that situation as well. So pretty much all of her situations revolve around a breakup, feelings around a guy. And keep in mind that she's young. She's in her early 20s, 24, I think. So somebody broke up with her. She gets upset. Someone calls 911 and saying, listen, she's having some mental health episodes. She calls 911 and she makes a report of damaged property, claiming that the ex damaged her property, whatever. The police discover that that was a lie. So she makes a false report, a false police report. Now, you know, in some jurisdictions, making a false police report is a criminal offense. In Cayman, not so much so. So the following day after her false report, then we have an incident where she goes to the home of her ex-boyfriend, tries to gain entry through the front door, the back door, can't do that. So then she goes to the side of the house, shatters 2 windows, and enters the property. That's after breaking into the car, the vehicle, getting a machete, and then going into the home. And again, I think the details are important because you have to sit back and wonder, how did Miss Cayman ever come to the conclusion that it was okay? And I want to talk about what they have said their position is about, you know, building these young ladies up and giving people second chances. Keep all that in mind because I'm going to give you that reasoning and then you guys can tell me what you think. So broke the window of a Toyota Prado, entered, took out a machete, gained entry to the house eventually by smashing 2 side windows. The man who was in the house, the ex-boyfriend, runs out of the house. Obviously, he's now scared to death about what's going to happen with the machete. Officers are called, 911 is called. They come to the scene. They literally have to, because she bombards herself in a bedroom, they literally have to go and forcibly remove the bedroom door. Then she locks herself in the bathroom that must have been part of the bedroom. They talk to her, say, you know, young lady, come on out. This is not going to end well for you. Don't barricade yourself in there. You know, they try to talk her down. She calls the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend, and has a conversation with him on the phone and says, oh, I'm not in the bathroom. I'm somewhere else. Okay. Obviously, the police know that she's in the bathroom, right? Damages property in the bathroom, you know, shower bottles, conditioner, smears it all over the wall. After what they say is a lengthy negotiation, she decides to come out of the bathroom. They find a pocket knife in the sink. They place her under arrest, place her in a cell, and she becomes violent with herself. And this is one of the concerns, is that there seems to be some sort of a lack of control, right? So starts banging herself on the cell, her head on the cell wall, and all these sorts of things. So listen, when you start to do that sort of thing, there are people who recognize that something is wrong, right? Whether it is a diagnosed case of, I don't know what it could be diagnosed as, because no one has ever said, but whatever it is, they're like, okay, you need a psych evaluation. We need to put you in the mental health ward. You need help. And so that was done. So out of that flowed multiple charges, including assaulting the police, criminal trespass, damage to property, and carrying an offensive weapon. Now we move on to another situation, and this was later in the year, November. Now, I don't know if this is the same boyfriend or if this is a different boyfriend. I'm not really clear. But it again revolves around the breakup of a boyfriend. And she has an altercation at home this time. So her own mother and sister have to call 911, call the police to get help. Assaults the mother, licks her upside the head with a book, assaults the sister. And when the police come to try to execute, and calm the situation down, they are kicked in the groin, kicked in the nuts, people. That's what that means, in case you don't know. Right? Then they try to put her under arrest. She has listen, when I was reading this, the one thing that occurred to me, I was like, damn, this girl, because she's not like a big girl, but she seems to really find a lot of energy for kicking people in the nuts and fighting them and punching them and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, wow. And I have to be honest with you, as I read it, and a lot of times you read these, you think, I don't ask what would Jesus do, because I don't have the patience of Jesus, and I'm not perfect. I'm flawed beyond. So a lot of times I say to myself, what would I do in a situation like this? John, please, somebody kicked me in the nuts. Well, I don't have any nuts, but you know what I mean. It still hurts. Or they punched me in the face. I wouldn't have a lot of restraint at that time. I would probably punch them right back in the face. It would be on. So I think a lot of these, officers, we have to give them credit for exercising a lot of patience. So they're assaulted. Even when she's in handcuffs, she manages to use her nails to scratch another officer on both wrists, causing minor damage and redness. Profanity, screaming, being combative. When she's finally pulled up off the ground, she then is put in, she managed to kick the other officer in the groin as well. So both of them got a kick in the nuts. Oh my God. Then she's placed in the vehicle, kicking the doors and the glass. And she's warned that, listen, you're going to get another charge. Like if you break the police car or you break a police glass window, kicking it, you're going to have more charges. So when they speak to the family and they say, what is this all about? What is going on with this young lady? They're told, oh yes, it's a boyfriend breakup situation. And she went in the documents berserk. Okay. Now, the mother right away, and I want to tell you that as parents, man, we can be so complacent and take no responsibility for what we are doing to our children. So the mother says, well, he didn't have to arrest her just now. He didn't have to be so rough with her. And of course, they could have charged her with even more, except the mother would not. She said, I'm not going to give a statement against my daughter, and I don't want to pursue any charges. And the sister doesn't either. Think about that for a second. When you have somebody in your life that needs help and they're acting out because they need the help, sometimes you've got to let the system take its course, right? Obviously, you can't help her. If she's licking you upside the head as a grown-ass adult with a book, you are not in a position to help her. So you let it go through the court process. And one of the things that I want to say about this, it is beyond interesting that despite now we're in case number 3, that she's never been placed in mental health court, which I think is indicative of either something broken with the court system, broken with her lawyers, that they didn't say, well, let's get her in mental health court because then we can force her through the mental health court system to go to treatment. And she has to come to court every so often and check in and do all of these things, right? So I'm very sympathetic towards her plight, because if this is a mental health issue, she needs help, then the system is failing her as well as her own family. We are so concerned as a community about appearances that we will sit back and allow our children to suffer from mental health issues. Sometimes we as parents are the cause of their mental health issues. Let's be clear on that point too. And I'm not saying that that's the case here because I don't know their business, but I've seen it time and time again. And so maybe a parent, to accept that your child has mental health issues, you're going to have to accept that you're part of the problem. And you probably have contributed significantly to these mental health issues. Whether that's putting children in abusive situations where they grew up around violence, whether that's having all these dysfunctional relationships yourself throughout your life that your children witnessed, and that is now what they're modeling themselves after, or whether it's finding out that your child is being abused and you do nothing about it, which happens a lot, and you put the burden on the child to remain a victim instead of a victor for the rest of their life because their perpetrators never brought to justice, because you're more concerned about the image of the family. Oh, we don't want to talk about this. We know you were just raped by your uncle, your granddad, your cousin, whoever, but we don't want to bring shame on the family, so let's not talk about it. These are the types of things, folks, that are happening in this community. And until we can be honest about it and have these conversations, right? We can't ever expect to address the real issues. All right. So the family, nope, they're not going to do anything. In fact, the mom said, and this is very, very telling, that the evening before, there was another incident where she had to call the ambulance. And so now that the police are here the night after or the evening after, she doesn't want to have to call the ambulance again. Listen, the level of dysfunctionality in Cayman is legitimately real. So let's fast forward then to, that was 2019, 2 incidents in 2019. Let's fast forward now to 2021, which is the current matter that's in court. 6 charges now fall from that. Now, what has happened with those 2 cases, and this is something that I can't recall ever seeing in court, but this is what has happened. On both of those, she had nothing convicted, so no conviction recorded. And I'm sure, I wasn't there, but I'm sure that it would have been she's suffering from, I don't know what it is, mental health issues. Let's just say that, right? And the court took mercy on her not once, but twice, and had 2 separate incidents where as police were assaulted, property was damaged, all this stuff, and no conviction was recorded. Keep that in mind because that's going to be important when we start to talk about the committee and what they know and what they're thinking, right? So now, October of 2021, she's dating another young man again, 3-month relationship. The 3 months, it ends, and here we go again. It's a vicious cycle. So she goes to the boyfriend's house, again, another boyfriend, but seems to be a broken record, says, if you don't come outside, you're going to regret it. Boy, well, those are some wise words, because apparently he definitely ended up regretting it. Banged on the front door so hard that the father opens the door, thinking, oh, you're going to break the front door, which has glass in it. Then the assault begins. She tries to force her way in to go see the boyfriend, punches the father in the face, headbutts him, scratches him on the forehead, grabs his reading glasses and destroys them. Now the man is like, oh my God, he calls 911, calls out to the neighbor, because this is a young lady, and anything pops off. Like say this father was like, you know what? I am so sick and tired. Say the father just had enough and decided to just plummet her. You know how that story would have gone. She would have had one version, whatever. The dad was like, neighbor, get over here right now. We're like legit having a situation, and he needed an eyewitness. So now this isn't her versus their story. This is the neighbor came over early on and witnessed what transpired, because the father was scared to death of what he would be accused of, because here he is trying to defend himself against a young lady, and y'all know how sometimes that can go. So 911 is called, rips off the man's shirt, or rips his shirt. The son finally comes out, poor him, to his father's aid. And then she starts assaulting him, kicking him in the groin, biting him on the chest, slapping him in the face. Goes outside and damages both vehicles, throws a bicycle on the windshield of one, cracks the windshield, white Kia Sportage. Throws a concrete block into the rear of the Toyota Starlet, breaks that glass. Police finally come, put her under arrest, same thing. Disorderly at the detention center and in transport. Interestingly enough, they called her psychiatrist, her mental health professional, and got permission that she was actually, I don't know if I want to say the word seen enough, but that she was okay to be interviewed by the police. This was the following day. So during her police interview, and by the way, she punched a police officer twice in the face as well. During her police interview, she admits to tearing the shirt, scratching him in the face, claiming that she was trying to get away from him. Says she doesn't recall punching him. Admitted to kicking the son in the groin. No comment about the damage to the vehicles, and no comment about assaulting police. The neighbor's vehicle also had minor damage, but he decided that he was not going to get involved in this hot mess. He's like, forget about it. So when she was at the detention center, she punched the officer in the face twice and also used profane language, telling them all to F all of you. So what happened, why this has taken a feverish pitch is that on Friday, this last Thursday, there was supposed to be a trial in relation to these 6 offenses. So it's 2 common assault, 2 damage to property, disorderly conduct at the police station, which is what happened at the detention center, and assaulting to the police. So 6 charges. There was supposed to be a trial, but the trial got pushed back because one of the officers was actually out sick. Now, the Miss Cayman committee has an idea about some of this from a historical perspective. And their position seems to be that, young people go through a lot and we need to build them up. We need to encourage them to move past their issues and to do better. On the face of it, that sounds wonderful. Except you cannot encourage someone to do better and to move past a situation when they're still in the thick of it. So you have an active court case that you're still dealing with. I don't know who in their right mind would have thought that it was a good idea to have a contestant with an active matter in court run for Miss Cayman. When we teach young people, we say we want to build character. We want to build them up. We don't want to tear them down. We want to be forgiving. Well, that requires a couple things along the way. We cannot teach young people that they will be forgiven and that they can get a second chance and they can start over when they have never done anything except try to just forget about it, to indicate that they are putting in the work. Showing remorse, apologizing to people that you have assaulted, that you've bitten and punched and all this kind of stuff. That demonstrates that I am taking responsibility, that I am maturing, right? So I'm a little bit confused as to why we talk about we want to build up our young people, but in reality, the message that we're sending to them is you can do wrong and there will be no consequences. Twice you go to court, nothing is recorded on your record, and I'm sure she thinks that's going to be what is going to happen again this time. But boy, let me tell you something. Your luck sometimes in life, and it happens to all of us. What do Caymanians say? That one day you take the bucket to well every day, and one day the bucket is going to drop out, the bottom of the bucket. That's real. We can't teach young people. And I find that we're doing this a lot, that there are no consequences to their behavior. I mean, this made me think of Charles Whitaker, right? Remember when we saw the video of him with the brick and, throwing it into the glass? Remember what I said on Monday? That a picture is worth 1,000 words and a video is worth like 1,000,000? When you had the video of what happened, you're like, oh my God. Obviously, for whatever reason, Charles completely lost control. If someone had told you that story, like how I'm just telling you this story now, right? You have a certain vision in your head of what this is and how it transpired. But to see it for yourself and to be there, to be the victim of this assault, to be the police officers dealing with this, it's a whole other situation. I've spoken to a few of the victims and they have said she is eventually going to kill someone. And they are afraid. They've beefed up security from their house, around their house. This is a real concern. So the committee has come to the conclusion that she is reformed and, despite the current charges, which she's not yet been held accountable for, that it was a good idea for her to be accepted into this pageant. Apparently, their only criteria is that you don't have a current criminal record. And they've said, well, how do we judge? We don't know the details. How do we judge this? How do we know? They basically speak to the contestants, and if the contestants say to them, well, that's not what happened here. This was, a situation of self-defense. Then the committee is just going to take them at their word. They don't say, can we see the police report? When you're facing criminal charges, you get a bundle with all of the witness statements. You're coming up for trial. Everything is in that bundle. The committee themselves could have done a bit more due diligence and said, can we see your court bundle so that we can ascertain what the Crown's case is against you? Because you don't have a photo, you don't have a video, you don't have any of the victims coming forward speaking to the Miss Cayman committee. But to just sit down and take someone's word, someone who's had a history of issues, to be comfortable enough to just take their word for what might have transpired and that they're a changed person, might not be the wisest thing in the world. The Miss Cayman committee members are supposed to be seasoned individuals. Most of them are 45 plus years of age. They've seen it all, done it all. And yet I am here today calling their judgment into question because it doesn't make any sense. The other issue is, I think it's hard for the Miss Cayman Universe to get together a good list of young ladies. And I want to talk about this for a second because this is interesting. So they say, well, we take what we can get. We've only got 8 girls. That's not really a whole lot. Well, consider this. If you're letting certain individuals into the pageant who really shouldn't be there, you might have other really qualified young people who are doing well for themselves, who've never been in any sorts of issues, who might want to give pageant life a try. And they're going, ooh, why would I want to do that? When they look at the slate of candidates, they're like, I don't want to mingle and put my name into that situation. Committee members say, well, people come forward complaining that this woman's a homewrecker. She's a this, she's a that. And there have been some historical cases where we've known, she's into 3-somes, 4-somes, 20-somes, whatever. And everybody knows she's a whore on wheels, although she's really pretty. And again, she's broken. She was abused as a child. She's this, she's that. I've even had a committee member say that the ones who are broken with the most issues are the ones who place well on the international front and do the best. Because the judges like to hear these hard luck stories. I'm like, okay. So, places like Mexico, when you're a beauty pageant, you become the gang leaders in Mexico see you as attractive because they want to be able to say, oh, I have a Miss Mexico as a girlfriend or as a wife like El Chapo, right? They get you to be drug mules and all sorts of stuff because people might not necessarily be looking at you because, oh, here comes Miss Mexico. They can just roll out the carpet and say, bienvenido, a Cayman, or wherever the heck you're going. They're not going to be checking your luggage. So they use them a lot as drug mules to launder money and other stuff. But because that's being done in Mexico, should that be our standard here in Cayman where we're like, oh, well, if there's allegations or videos about her, whatever, we're just going to ignore it because she doesn't have a criminal record yet. Is there no morality clause in the Miss Cayman criteria list? I told y'all I don't even want to be having this conversation today, but I feel like the committee has set her up, and by extension, now they've set me up where I have no choice. The people of this country are messaging me left, right, and center. On Thursday, a lot of people saw it on the cause list, and people were like, what is this, Sandy? What? All these messages. I can't sit back and ignore this and not have a discussion when a good portion of the community is asking the question. It's sad because I'm sure this young lady has a lot of potential, and I wish her well, and I hope that she gets the help that she needs. And this also proves to me how incredibly forgiving Cayman is. A lot of people are like, oh, Cayman is this and that. We are actually some of the most forgiving people in the world. People will give her chances when she's ready. Is she ready right now with something like this over her head in court? Well, let's look at the potentials of what could happen. She's convicted, and the court has said, okay, now 3 strikes and you're out. You're going to jail, something's going to happen here, whatever. And she wins Miss Cayman. What? The embarrassment even to her of putting her in that position, and she has put herself in that position, to be fair to her as well. She is an adult, where now she might be going to jail. She'd have a crown snatched from her. If you think she goes berserk over a boyfriend breaking up with her, imagine if somebody tries to take that crown. And this is her second time running in this contest. And both times she has had ongoing matters floating over her head as active matters. Someone on the committee needed to say to her, young lady, we believe that you're on the road to recovery. And we believe that you're making some strides. But honestly, when you have an active matter, you got to deal with that first before you can participate in this contest. Other contestants are going to feel away. Their parents are going to feel away. The community is going to feel away. Even for yourself, to protect your own mental health. They talk about they're trying to build up the self-esteem of these young ladies. Well, you build up their self-esteem by keeping them grounded in reality. And you say to them, when you are actively involved in something and you become a contestant, people are going to talk about you. Some of the other girls might be gossiping. That is natural. So what you do is you deal with the situation first. Whatever the outcome is, you're still young. You're only 24 years old. You can run again. You really come back as the comeback kid. You have a real recovery story where you can go 2-3 years without being arrested for assaulting the police, beating up a boyfriend, beating up the dad, damaging cars, throwing bicycles, and all this kind of stuff. That is someone who can talk about being victorious over their situation, right? That is someone who now has a story where you can say, look at me. I suffer, #MeToo. I suffer from mental health issues, and yet I've been able to go to therapy consistently. I've been able to get the help that I need. And for the past 2 years, No incidents, no arrests, nothing. You don't pick up someone who just a couple months ago was playing Kung Fu Kid in somebody's home. Mm, mm, mm. I'm going to encourage the committee to do better. They clearly need to revisit the criteria. And every year there's always like one candidate or two candidates who, it's an issue. There's tons of stuff swirling around them. And I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's bad enough that there are people in this community who don't even like beauty pageants. They're like, a beauty pageant objectifies a woman. You're talking about, you're building her self-esteem, but you're building her self-esteem based on her looks. How more can you tear somebody down than that? Like, you have to fit this profile. You've got to look a certain way. And I see now that we're trying our best. I've seen this in other competitions. Like, you can have a few extra pounds. You can have that Caribbean bonky and still run in a pageant. But y'all are setting these girls up for failure. Because there's nowhere else in the world in the international front. They're not going nowhere with no Caribbean bonky. Again, the level of delusion in this community about what we are willing to allow to happen is really, really shocking. We set people up to have their self-esteem bruised and torn down when we do stuff like this. When you put somebody out there, right? Knowing that they are nowhere near being ready for a beauty, like I said, it's an objectification of women. You got to have that. I don't know what the measurements are. What is it? 32, 22, 30. I don't know what they claim is the ideal woman. Like Sir Mix-a-Lot said, not for him. That's really not the global definition of beauty. So then you send them overseas and they got somebody who's like 2 sizes thinner than them, someone who's taken out ribs and put in breast implants and done the most. And that's their competition. And you don't, even explain to them that, honey child, this is tough. This is, you're not going to be ready on the international front. I don't know. Something seems to be broken with the competition, with the Miss Cayman committee. Let's read some of your comments. Marshall is here. Morning, Debbie. Let's see. So Debbie says, playing devil's advocate, is it possible the committee was unaware of her legal troubles? I understand that they say that they were unaware until June last month. So what that means, Debbie, is you have people who are sitting in a committee who do not know how to do a basic Google search. Because that's all it would take to be aware. You type in a person's name. If they have an active thing in court, it'll come up actually saying what it is that's happening in court. So yes, it's very possible. I'm not saying that I'm not believing them, but what I'm believing is that means that they are not doing any degree of due diligence on their own. They're just waiting for either someone to bring a complaint to them about a contestant, or I don't know. I guess that's the only way they're going to find out. Or they ask the contestants themselves. And then the contestants either tell the truth or they don't. And the committee is going to buy that. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they didn't know. That alone is still concerning. Debbie says, I don't understand why we have so many pageants and such a small pool to choose from. Well, I just told you what one of the reasons might be. It could very well be that other young ladies who would otherwise be interested in being in a pageant, who can speak and do all this other stuff, don't even bother with it because of historically what has been, entertained in the pageant world. And to be fair, there are a lot of young women who are beautiful, but they're not into having other people comment on their beauty or decide on their beauty, because this is a brutal process. Those girls are up on the stage, and I know they work really hard. Some of them don't even know how to walk properly in heels, but who the hell said that walking properly in heels is easy? It's hard. And you're nervous, and you got to speak properly, and it's a lot of pressure. And so there are a lot of young women who are like, why would I want to do that? I got a full government scholarship. I'm going to the best university. I can get me a good education without having to go through the process of potentially being ridiculed by people for being in this pageant, et cetera, et cetera. Like, for them, the rewards just, it's almost like the most desperate are the ones who want to be in the pageant for probably all the wrong reasons, because they have self-esteem problems and they need that reassurance. The people who have a good self-esteem are probably not going to put up with people objectifying them and people trying to tell them how, oh, well, you should dress like this and you should do this because I'm the expert and I know what's good for you. So there could be a lot of reasons why. Everton, good morning. Everton says, my question, is this a constant problem? How many times such a problem occurs? Do these things fall through the crack? We're not perfect. Well, we have had other Miss Cayman contestants who they didn't have anything active in court, to the best of my recollection, but they were doing quite a bit. So we actually had a winner years ago who was partying so much that she was actually issued a warning. My apologies, that if you don't rein it in, we're going to have to pull your crown for you and pick the next person. So, they're picking people who haven't demonstrated that they have any discipline. They've not demonstrated this track record that I was just talking about of even having it together. And then that's a problem when you put these girls the crown in their head and you expect them to go to events and to represent, the country and go overseas and all this other kind of stuff. So I would say that a lot of these participants are not ready. Dean says that Tiffany is his favorite contestant for Miss Cayman. Well, there you go. I mean, I wish her the best of luck. I don't know, what her chances are. I haven't really looked at the young ladies very closely, even in an attempt to objectify them. I really haven't looked. I don't know how well they speak or anything of that sort, because the interview does count for a certain percentage. And, if she wins, this is going to be a first for Cayman. This is going to be very, very interesting. Last week we were talking about, Miss, I think Vanessa Williams. I believe she's a Miss America. I don't think it was Miss USA. Hold on. And she had her crown taken from her over some naked photos that she'd taken beforehand. Miss Williams. Now when you look her up, she's defined as an American singer. No longer as it says American singer, actress, and fashion designer. Because how did she get on the international front? Well, she was crowned Miss America in 1983. She won the Miss America 1984 pageant. A scandal arose the following year when, a few weeks prior to the end of her reign, she learned that Penthouse magazine would publish nude photos of her in an upcoming issue. She actually resigned. Oh, I thought they'd pulled it from her. Good for her. Responsibility again. She resigned under pressure from the Miss Cayman organization and was replaced by the first runner-up, which was Miss New Jersey. But you know what? She didn't let that scandal keep her down. She went on to have a very successful singing and acting career. Remember her album, The Comfort Zone? That was like back in the day. I loved that album in the sweetest days. Oh my God. She actually is a really good singer. So, beauty pageant contestants and winners have issues all the time. Here, Insider Magazine did an article, the 10 biggest beauty pageant scandals of all time. Okay, here's one. Former Miss Nevada, Katie Reese, was arrested for possessing and selling methamphetamine. What a hot mess. Partially nude photos surfaced of her in 2005. Vanessa Williams, of course, is definitely in the top 10. We just talked about that situation. Miss Teen USA 2016 used racial slurs on Twitter. Back in 1957, Mary Leona Gage, who was crowned Miss USA, lost her title. She was stripped of her title after they discovered that she was lying about a few key things. Apparently she was married and had 2 children. And those things went against pageant rules. They also found out that she was 18 years old and not 21, as she told them. Oh my God, she's got a problem with lying. Wow. 2014, the Miss Florida pageant named the wrong winner. Well, they're doing that all the time. We have another young lady, Janice Davila. Oh, she's pretty. Was crowned Miss Florida in 2017. She was crowned Miss Florida USA 2017 in 2016, but weeks later had her crown taken from her because she was accused of cheating, because she had her makeup done professionally, which is against the rules. And then she went on to be crowned Miss Florida again in 2018. So listen, the bottom line is pageant queens are just like the rest of us. They're human beings. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to do stuff. I think it really becomes a question of what sort of criteria you're going to put in place for a pageant that the people that came out are largely paying for. And what standards are you going to expect these young ladies to live up to? Here's another one. Sri Lanka's Miss World arrested over pageant bust up. So this is just April of last year. The girls are fighting at the pageant. Police in Sri Lanka have arrested the reigning Miss World after she allegedly injured a fellow beauty pageant in an unstaged bust up. What the hell? She pulled the crown off of somebody's head, claiming that she could not hold the title as she was divorced. what a mess. Oh yeah, this is the misses. This is the MRS one, so they can be married for this one. But the winner later said that she was separated from her husband, but not yet divorced. It's crazy. So yeah, beauty pageants or beauty contestants, just as dysfunctional as everybody else. But your aim shouldn't be out there to find dysfunctional candidates. I mean, you should try to find people who are, you think, all right, unless we discover something really, really shocking, might be able to represent us well. Cameron says, I wish some people had these same righteous indignations when people are running for politics. Well, on this program, we do. And I think the people of the Cayman Islands have already said that they don't really care about that in the world of politics. And I say it, and I'm going to say it again. Caymanians are some of the most forgiving people. You've had politicians who've had issues in the past and who continue to have issues, but you all feel like they are a representation of us as a dysfunctional community. And you continue to elect them. And the funny thing is, you elect them over people, over better candidates, people who are better qualified on paper and like legit in real life, because it's all a popularity thing in politics for sure. Darlene says all of them are my favorites because they're all my Caymanian girls. Anthony is wondering if her sponsor's aware. Not gonna lie, I look at Island Natural a bit differently now. No clue. I mean, I don't know who knew what, when, where, whatever. But it certainly wouldn't have taken much to have done a little bit of due diligence and found out all these things. Cameron says, I don't care. This is only Miss Cayman. We have even lower standards in selecting people to the highest office in the country that actually make decisions for Cayman that affects all of us. I'm done. Again, the message that we send to young people is that's what you esteem for. You esteem to have no standards and be elected to the highest office in the country. And that's okay, because every step of the way, whether you're in the Little Miss pageants as a baby, we don't care about standards. We don't care about anything. It's very, very superficial. A lot of people say to me, oh, your daughter's so beautiful. She should be in a beauty pageant. I'm going to be very honest with you. I hope that she never expresses an interest to me in being in a beauty pageant, because I'm not going to put that in her head, because her beauty isn't going to be determined by other people, even her physical beauty. There's a video that I've seen recently in circulation where it's like, oh, she's a pretty little girl or whatever. And the little girl says something like, I'm a pretty little girl. No, I'm strong. I'm this, I'm that, about all the other qualities that are way more important than physical beauty. If I find it again, I'll remember to try to extract it and play it for you guys. So I think it's called She's a Pretty Little Thing. I can't remember. But anyway, I'll try to find it. Because we're setting our children up for failure, really. When we tell them what they should be esteeming to is people judging them based on how they look. There's no talent in a lot of these beauty contestants, a lot of these beauty competitions. They don't even have to demonstrate a talent anymore. There was a time when, child, you had to play a musical instrument, you had to be able to sing, you had to be able to do something. Darlene says, tired of the talk because it sounds as if it is Miss Rundown instead of Miss Cayman. Everton says, I don't think that they vet the contestants properly. Sometimes I don't think it's about money. I think it's all about money, whoever is putting on the pageant. Well, I mean, the government, like I said, is the sponsor. So this isn't a money-making venture. This is something that we, the people, are paying for. And I don't know how much, maybe this is an FOI question, because I don't know how much the government spends on the pageant. But you might have people arguing that's money that you could be giving as a scholarship. But, I guess beauty pageants have been ingrained in communities around the world. And so, we just follow the hamster around the wheel. Miss Charlene says, good morning. Boy, this pageant topic just joined. Missed a lot, but please don't get me started this morning on our Miss Cayman pageant in particular. Trust me. Oh, wow. Sounds like you got something to share. Jonathan talking about the cost. And it's also not cheap for the young ladies and their sponsors. They're supposed to be getting a whole wardrobe and makeup done every day and hair done every day. And, it's a lot of work, really. Once you're crowned, it's not just all glamour and fun. And a lot of the young ladies also have full-time jobs. So they, need their employers to be accommodating when they have to go to functions and do all this stuff. Darlene says, amen to that, Sandy. I agree with you. Keep your daughter far away from it. Yeah, listen, I want my daughter to focus on just being a good person. Academically, we obviously have expectations for her. That's where the pressure will be in our household. It's not going to be in all the other stuff. But she does seem to have a little bit of flair for, like I guess most little girls. She wants to put on lipstick, and dad's like, what? Put on who? Little girls like to dress up. She's got the little dolly, the little fake click heels that she can't walk in. And every time she puts them down, she's falling down. I'm like, yeah, that's why a lot of people don't wear high heels, and they're bad for your feet. And, you got to add balance to, your children. Whatever happened to the male contest, by the way? Mr. Cayman. I know Kenneth won that one year. We, funny enough, don't have those around anymore. Because we objectify men differently, or not at all, apparently. So Everton says, I didn't know that it's the government of your country that puts on a pageant. So the Miss Cayman committee, it falls under the Department of Tourism and Transport, the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. And the committee members are, I'm assuming, appointed by the ministry as well. And they don't ever change. The committee members have been there forever. Some of them have been committee members for like 25 years plus. And a lot of it is just because they were crowned at some point themselves. So Jess says the committee should have never allowed her to enter with pending charges. They could never know whether she'd be convicted or not. Sue says the Miss Cayman committee is dropping their standards for this. Miss Darlene says it is a stigma whether we believe it or not. I experienced a Caymanian parent coming here to the UK. And when I told her this is the best place to get help for her young child, she told me she was not going to mention it to the school. Well, I said, whether you tell them or not, they will assess that child. What is wrong with her people, Sandy? Yeah, this is unfortunate. Because listen, if children have issues, and a lot of children have issues, a lot of adults have issues, you don't make it better by ignoring it and pretending it doesn't exist. You don't. You have to address it. Charles, that made me chuckle. Emma says, good morning. I'm disappointed in the pageant board. She should never have been allowed to enter. Helping them has to start with them. Then you support them, not the next way around. Exactly. Absolutely. There's a way to build. If you say you want to be in the business of building and propping up people's self-esteem, there actually is a way to do that. And the way to do it isn't this way. And I dare say that people who are in the business of trying to um, prop up someone's self-esteem may actually not know what they're doing in that regard at all. That's what the professionals are there for. Going around telling someone, this is the thing. Remember I was telling you guys, oh, Alexa, shut up.
I'm having trouble connecting. I'll keep trying.
Alexa,
I'm
just,
having trouble connecting. I'll keep trying.
she says she's going to keep trying. Alexa's not going to give up. She's like, I'll keep trying. I was talking to you guys maybe a couple months ago now, about the fact that we are building and raising children who are not very resilient, right? And we all think that the way that you build someone's self-esteem is by telling them, oh, you look pretty. Oh, you're this, you're that. Even if it's not true. And that isn't how you build self-esteem, right? There's a reality factor and a degree of truthfulness that's required. Amanda says some of the members of the committee themselves are out there involved in the same situation and doing all sorts of other things. If they can allow a competitor to enter while she was sleeping with a married man and just been naturalized as a Caymanian, these members that are part of the committee has no knowledge of what it takes to be a beauty queen. The members are all friends of friends. So, this is one of the things that was brought up because they said, who are we to judge? And, at what point do we stop? Do we say you can't be sleeping around with married men? I mean, I guess that'd probably eliminate a lot of people in Cayman. I don't really know. But again, this goes back to the morality clause. If young people know, and if the requirements are made very, very public and everybody knows what they are, you can't have an active case. You can't be out there, breaking up homes and this sort of thing. You don't even get involved in a pageant if that's what you're into. If you are attracted to married men, and some people are, and you want to sleep with a married man, okay, you're an adult, that's your decision. I'm not getting into that. But that would mean that you're not able to run in a Miss Cayman competition, so don't even bother. If they set the criteria and they say these sort of things to the young ladies and to the entire community, in fact, then there's no getting it wrong. You know what I'm saying? And yes, there's evidence of that has been presented to the committee, Amanda, that they would know about, but they feel like, oh, at what point can we say no? Judy says, sad to say this, but in Cayman, it's the ones who commit criminal offenses that are given second chances. Thieves are going to prison, coming out to get government jobs, and most of the pageants are all about friendship. Who knows who? Miss Sue says, that wasn't true here. We have had some fabulous Miss Cayman girls. What a mess. Chevrolet says this isn't giving someone a second chance if she's never been held accountable for her actions. Yep. Marshall says they should say, young lady, get your shit together, and until then, don't come back here. Ay. Anthony, good morning. Charlene says, well, that's the first issue that needs to be addressed by the committee. Cameron says Alexa has an opinion too. Oh, honey child, she can't even find herself this morning. Jonathan says male beauty pageants don't sell enough tickets. It doesn't quite have the same glamour because it's like a Chippendale show. Anthony says, from this story, it sounds like the committee is the real problem. No accountability, no due diligence, no standards. Cayman's government needs to reform the entire pageant from the looks of it, including clearing out the committee. Darlene says, be happy for our girls and uplift them. Thank them for having the self-esteem to enter our Miss Cayman pageant. Because if we did not get the contestants to enter, the committee may be having speculations, maybe saying our girls do not want to enter Miss Cayman anymore because they already chose the winner. I'm not quite sure I understand that one, Miss Darlene. But yeah, I mean, again, it comes back to this building of self-esteem based on a lie. That's not how you build up young people. All right, what's up comments? This person says it's promoting mediocrity and consistently trying to reinvent the wheel. We've never prepared our people in any arena, be it sports, education, beauty pageants, to compete with the rest of the world. Sad, sad, sad. Another person says, it makes me concerned about what would happen on stage if she lost. Will she assault the other contestants? And if she wins but loses the international pageant, will she embarrass Cayman on the international stage? You know what, Sandra? I can change my mind on beauty pageants if they have beauty pageants for men with the same amount of money, a push behind it like the female pageants. And we do have some good looking men in Cayman. We sure do. Somebody else says, to be honest, the committee probably didn't want to be another reason why she had another episode by telling her she can't compete. And it is sad that people are tiptoeing around the issue because of that. And I think that listener to the program has a very, very valid point. But what does that say about the committee, that you can't make a tough decision? Someone else says, what does the Miss Cayman International rules actually say? Oh, no. Let me read that. What does the Miss Universe International parent rules say? Doesn't our committee have to be in line with them in order to have our queen qualify or participate in the Miss Universe pageant? Oh, that's a good question. So it's Miss Universe International rules. Yeah, I hadn't actually thought about that. So this person's saying, what do the rules say? Simple stuff, 18 years and older, up to 27, can't be married. So they're judged in 3 categories: evening gown, swimsuit, and personality interview, no talent. So they have to apply and enter. Let me try to see if I can find the actual rules. That was just a little website telling you what some of the stuff is. Miss Universe. Competition, selection committee. It's kind of like looking for a needle in the haystack, to be honest. Who knows? But it is an interesting question. I'll see what more I can find out, because that would be interesting to see if they have any rules. Regarding entering. Most of it, let's be honest, it is a lot about money. So a lot of it is just paying a fee and, sending your girls, and they probably don't ask a lot of questions, right? Because they are in the business of making rules. Competition rules. The winner of the competition must be confident, understand the values of her brand and the responsibilities of the title, ability to articulate her ambition, must demonstrate authenticity, credibility, and exhibit grace under pressure. The women who compete embody the modern global aspiration for the potential within all women. Each competition begins with the preliminary interviews, and that's it's very not really concrete. That's open to a lot of interpretation, I suppose. I don't know, honey chill. Interesting question. Another person says, please keep anonymous. I'm so disappointed in the pageants who use MH as their platform. What is MH? MH. Oh, mental health. Oh, yes. Sorry. I'm so disappointed in the pageants who, when you say pageants, you need pageants or contestants? But anyway, it says pageants who use mental health as their platform, but only in name. When it comes down to dealing with the issues, nobody wants to get involved. It's only about the prestige of saying, I support mental health. Sandra, that support can be messy, very messy and painful. I'm so disappointed. Mm. And Anika and her mom shame on them for allowing pride to stop them from getting her the help that she needs. So, and this is someone who deals every single day with mental health issues, an advocate. Um, yes, a lot of young girls will say, and I had an opportunity to meet the Miss Teen girls recently, and I treat Miss Teen because they're minors, they're kids still. I treat them differently than I would a Miss Universe. But I must say that you know, they do try to pick a lot of them like, oh, I support autism because maybe they have a sibling who's autistic or whatever. And I think that's good. But to this viewer's point, it's not just the words that you use to say that you support it. What are you doing to demonstrate that you actually do support it? Scott, one of our listeners named Scott, and we do have more than one. My apologies. I actually didn't mean to call your name, but it says that children that have not learned the consequences of their actions know no consequences. I punch a cop, I go to jail. At the very least, she should be sorting herself out. Imagine how she'd react if she didn't place in the pageant. Punch a judge? Question mark. All right. Someone else says, good morning. God help me the day one of my children hit me with anything. We're going to see who has mental health issues then. Oh, Lord, have mercy. This person says, laughing out loud, dead. Groin equals nuts, people. Some of the girls were the meanest, nastiest people in high school, and some even the biggest hoes in school. Quite funny to see them now playing all nice and proper. Anyways, well, you know what they say. Once a hoe, now a housewife. So who knows? And it speaks to reform. Like, listen, anybody can reform themselves. And I dare say that we believe in that a lot here in the Cayman Islands. We are willing to give a lot of people second chances. Sometimes you do have to, listen, people make poor decisions. That's part of the rite of passage of growing up, right? And it is what it is. Look at the picture of the current Miss Universe. She's so pretty. Oh my gosh, look at her. Ooh, she is gorgeous. What's her name? Harnaz Shandhu, Crown Miss Universe. Where's she from? I'm trying to remember who won. Oh, India, of course. India always places very, very well. For years, India and that part of the world, they were grabbing every single title. So she's saying that she's an advocate for women's empowerment, particularly their constitutional right to education, careers, and their freedom of choice. Child, she can need that women's empowerment in India because they are something else when it comes to women. Even women who have quote unquote power in India find out they have very little power. They're sexually assaulted on the workplace, and a lot of them are actors and whatever, and they have to put up with so much that it's just ridiculous. So good luck to all of the pageant young ladies. We will certainly keep you guys updated on the outcome of this situation. And it is what it is. Let's see. Final comments on this topic, then we'll do the news and switch it up a little bit. Darlene says, Sandy, you have two Darlenes on your show. Please state who says what. I know. I'm sure. Yes, there are two Darlenes. That's Darlene Manzanera. She's like, don't get it confused now. I'm not supporting no slackness. Anthony says, I feel sorry for the other young ladies vying for the pageant. What effect will this have on them now, knowing that this is what they're running against? Entire pageant seems like a joke now. Everton says, okay, I'm not going to allow you guys to keep beating up on the Cayman Islands. Like, I know this doesn't have anything to do with this discussion, but look at the British Prime Minister to see what happened in my country. Find a politician with $100,000 hidden in his freezer. The mayor of New York, DC, caught in a hotel room. Yeah, but those are politicians. So, Everton, we're happy to call out politicians. And I've pointed out this morning that even in the world of beauty pageants, a lot of them are flawed and a lot of them have had scandals. The question, Everton, is that what you esteem to because everybody else is doing it? It's like what Aunt Lottie would say. Sandra, everybody is going to go jump off a bridge. Are you going to do it too? And I had to think about it. I'm like, why would I jump off a bridge? Exactly. You don't follow the crowd because the crowd could be wrong. That'd be Aunt Lottie. She used to have a little southern drawl. Charlene says, is the committee because like previous commentators said, it's about who knows who and their cheating habits. I'm getting congested, as you guys can hear. And the involvement of politicians and whom they want or think should win. I think politicians try to stay out of this pageant, in all fairness to them, child. They might go to just sit there and support it and clap a little bit and whatever, but I think most of them don't really get involved. The Real Deal says, stop promoting mediocrity and uplift women by changing the entry requirements for this pageant. We should be sending someone on the world stage that at least has a college degree. Education equals sexy. Well, very few of our young ladies fall into that category, but I agree with you, Real Deal. Charlene says, coming from a family of beauty queens. Oh, you come from a family of beauty queens? Girl, mess with you. And in specific, one that's been crowned not once, but 3 times, inclusive of one international. I would do a full story here this morning again. Trust me. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Charlene sounds like she's got horror stories. Soka says, in big countries, who is going to know whom contestants have been sleeping with? Only small rocks like ours is something does everyone know your business. Yeah, I mean, certainly that's a valid point. Like I said, I don't know who, what sort of morality clause, if any, exists. Normally it's something a bit more concrete, like you've lied to the pageant or whatever. You've lied on your entry form saying that you were married or you were not married or whatever the criteria are. So Marshall says, guys in Cayman just need to be aware of who this monster is and stay clear of her way. And listen, I don't want to call this young lady a monster. I think she does need help, and I am hoping that she is getting the help that she needs. On one of the files, it had a requirement of that as a follow-up, and I don't think anybody has probably even been following up on that, and that shows a slackness in the system because there has to be follow-through, there has to be accountability, because when the court is ready to come down on you with a heavy hammer, they're going to do it. And you are going to find yourself shocked that they're finally going to hold you accountable. And, she's probably not going to be ready for that either because nobody's preparing her. Everybody's like, oh, they'll not record it on your record again. You're going to get another slap on the wrist. I don't know what judge is going to hear this, but the judges might say, because listen, let me say this and then we'll do the news and I can sort out my sinuses here. But when you have no conviction recorded, right? A lot of people are confused about what that means. The court, when they get the files and they're looking at a new case, they will know that you already have no convictions recorded, and they will have access to those files, and they will be looking for a pattern of behavior. So it's not like because you don't have no conviction recorded, that's for the purposes of you going out there, finding a job and doing other stuff, maybe being able to travel, getting a visa, etc. The court is privy. Judges and magistrates are privy to that information, and it plays into their decision making on what to do with you when it's your 3rd, 4th, and 5th time before them. Because at some point, your luck is going to literally run out. All right, folks. Let's see what Kevin has queued up for news today. Coming back, I want to have a discussion. We had a young lady, again, since we're talking about our young people, we can continue this discourse. We had a young lady who wanted to know if at the age of 16, why 16-year-olds can't go out there and get employment and get a job. And it's an interesting question. So she's like, why is it that we can't do this? So I think it's worth discussing. So here's your news. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hello, I'm Kevin Watler, and you're watching the CMR Daily Buzz. CMR has video of the arrest police made after finding a loaded handgun along with ganja at a home in the Tropical Gardens area of Georgetown. On Friday, police were executing a search warrant when they found the firearm and drugs. One man and two women were arrested. The 26-year-old man was charged with firearm and drug charges. He appeared in court and was remanded. The 45-year-old woman was charged with drug charges. She was offered court bail, and the 18-year-old woman was bailed by police as the investigation continues. And we have another update on a story we recently brought you. 30-year-old Wayne Belafonte Jr. was arrested in relation to the early morning vehicle crash that occurred Saturday near Spots Dock. According to eyewitnesses, he took out a CUC electric pole as he crashed his vehicle into the bushes. He then kicked out the windscreen and left the scene. Eyewitnesses told CMR he was attempting to overtake another vehicle without sufficient clearance, and he clipped the front of the other vehicle, which was also damaged. The roadway in the area was closed for several hours, and traffic was rerouted on Spots Newlands and Poindexter roads, while CUC crews replaced the broken electric pole and police investigated. The Cayman Islands Fire Service is looking for more firefighters. A recruitment drive is being held in Cayman Brac on Thursday, July 21st from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Ashton Ruddy Center. The next day, Friday, July 22nd, the recruitment drive will be held in Grand Cayman at Spots Dock from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Those who want to apply must be between the age of 18 and 35. Cayman Airways flights to Mobay are back. Cayman Airways is resuming its service between Grand Cayman and Montego Bay, Jamaica, with the launch of non-stop flights this summer starting August 4th. KX 2602 departs Grand Cayman at 6:15 p.m. and arrives in Montego Bay at 7:15 p.m. Now the return flight, flight KX 2603, departs Montego Bay at 8:15 p.m. and arrives on Grand Cayman at 9:10 p.m. Caymanian golfer Aaron Jarvis completed his history-making tour at the 150th Open with a highly commendable 1-over par total, recording the second-best score by an amateur golfer in the championship. Last Thursday through Sunday, Aaron Jarvis completed all 4 rounds in the 150th Open. 19-year-old Aaron is the first golfer from the Cayman Islands to complete in the Open at the Old Course in St. Andrews. He played alongside major winners Sergio Garcia and Stuart Chink, having edged out golfing greats such as Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. The 150th Open was won by Cameron Smith of Australia, who was crowned Champion Golfer of the Year.
The entire experience was great. I think the whole atmosphere of the tournament was incredible, and from start to finish, I got to play with some pretty good pros and learn from them, and I think it was a good overall learning experience, and I had a blast.
Sports Minister the Honorable Bernie Bush added these remarks.
My ministry and I wish him every success following his spirited playing at the 150th British Open, and join the Cayman Islands government and its people in looking forward to what else this young man can go on to achieve. Having repeatedly put our small islands on the golfing map in recent months, it is clear that Mr. Jarvis has made a big impression on everyone who calls Cayman home. His achievements are nothing short of exceptional and signal a bright future with the promise of even more career milestones in the years ahead. Let us all wish him well And on behalf of the people of the Cayman Islands, thank you, Aaron, for doing your best.
And now we move on to another sports story. 6 teams from Academy Sports Club recently competed at this year's Target USA Cup. The Target USA Cup is the largest youth football tournament in North America. We're talking soccer football here. Now, over 1,200 youth teams from all over the world competed at the National Sports Center's 860-acre campus in Minnesota, showing some strong performances. 2 teams narrowly missed on making the championship finals, with several others putting in playing well in their respective quarterfinal matches. More information on each of these stories can be found at caymanmallroad.com. Now for your CMR weather update, it's brought to you by WG Charters. Sunrise at 5:57. Some clouds and isolated thunderstorms are possible. The humidity stays high, which makes it feel a lot hotter. Now the winds will be east at 5 to 10 miles per hour. The sun sets at 7:05. When it cools at nighttime, the temperature falls to the low 80s. High tides at 3:14 a.m. and 5:15 p.m. and low tides at 10:01 a.m. and 11:24 p.m. Looking forward, similar weather conditions are expected. It's summertime, so hot days and warm nights with brief scattered showers. Pretty much your typical summer pattern. CMR weather updates are brought to you by WG Charters. They offer private boat trips for a great price, so we encourage you to support them. That's it for now on the Daily Buzz. Thanks for joining me. Please stay safe and God bless.
All right. Thank you, Kevin, for those news headlines. So good morning to everyone. 936-2727 is the telephone number. If you wish to call in at any time and join the program, feel free to do so. Let us know what your opinion is on all of these things and beyond. So let's talk about young people who say that at the age of 16, they are ready to enter the workplace. And they want to know why employers are not giving them an opportunity. So a young lady reached out, in case you missed it on social media. Let me see if I can just pull it up. And basically her question is, she's 16 years old. What is she going to do? If people are not hiring until children turn 18, she says, what do I do for the next 2 years? Let me just find her exact question. And it's definitely has, stirred up a conversation. I think it's a conversation that is certainly worth having in our community. She says, please leave anonymous. Evening, just coming to you to ask a question that can hopefully be answered. Why does jobs in the Cayman Island don't on you? I think she might have needed to check this sentence out, but don't on you people, especially when leaving high school at such a young age. Some may go to college. She does have college misspelled. So there's a couple things here. And I noticed that some of you said, she better stay in school because no one's going to want to hire you for like an office job with these types of mistakes, right? Truthfully, yes. But what happens to the ones that don't and need to fend for themselves, especially when living in Cayman? Half of the jobs in Cayman, you have to be 18 plus and people graduating at 16, 17. So just wanted to know, why is Cayman like that? Well, I don't know what you guys think. You can certainly let me have your opinions on this. 936-BOBO is the phone number. You can send your messages via WhatsApp and otherwise. But I kind of feel two ways about this. I think that even in high school, having a little part-time job that you can manage with your schoolwork, there's nothing wrong with that. Listen, I went to a high school, public high school in Tampa, Chamberlain High School, School of the Chiefs, by the way. And, the guy who was our valedictorian, who had like a friggin' 5.0 GPA, because, they give you extra credit for stuff. He had his own little lawn business. He was an entrepreneur already in high school. And because he grew up in a single parent home, he was out there with his little lawn business, mowing lawns and making money. Nothing wrong with that. If you want to work at the sandwich shop, if you want to work at Burger King, during the summer months or while you're in high school, and I think as long as it doesn't interfere with your education, and some children need to be able to do that in order to help with their families and to help make ends meet. And I think it depends on the child. This is where my personal position is on this. Not every child has the same level of maturity at 16. I think that if a child doesn't have to work like long hours and whatever, then you give them other little things to do. Because I think they can start to learn entrepreneurial skills. They can start to learn office skills. They can do summer internships. During their school breaks, they can certainly come back and find employment opportunities. Like when they're on Easter break from school or whatever, I see nothing wrong with that. Now, whether or not a 16-year-old believes that they are fully equipped, that they're fully equipped to work like a full-time job, I'm not so sure. Because I don't think a lot of Caymanian children are necessarily equipped for that, especially if we're talking about office jobs and that sort of thing, right? I don't know. What do you guys think? Ms. Donna says Cayman Seaman went to school at 16. That depends on if she's finished school. But those were also very different times. You didn't have a choice. You had to go to school at 16, to school. You had to go to work because there weren't even that many educational opportunities. And a lot of Caymanians could not afford whatever you called it back in those days, the equivalent of like high school and stuff like that now. So at middle school, you were done. Your education wasn't a priority, but you also lived in a world that you didn't have to have a degree. You could just go on and get life skills and move up the management ladder and do those types of things. And that was perfectly fine. And it didn't necessarily hamper your ability to support your family and to make a living, right? The world has changed a lot since then. So, and I think her children, again, because of parents, have also changed a lot. So, 50, 60, 70 years ago, a 16-year-old was way more mature than the 16-year-olds of today. They had to learn to do things very, very quickly. They were starting families and getting married at, 15, 16 years old, Now we hamper our children by keeping them so, in some respects, so sheltered, and they don't know anything about the real world. And a lot of them don't know how to work. We haven't taught them any of the life skills that they actually need in order to get out in the workplace and hold a little bit of a job. Now, life skills are acquired through experience. So I don't see anything wrong with a 16-year-old wanting a job and sometimes even delaying going to college because, again, they may not be ready for that college experience, right? So putting them in a little office to do some filing. But they have to recognize that they're not going to get a big time job at the age of 16. And I think the difficulty is if they believe that they can come out with little to no education, get a job at 16, and that's going to be their life story, and they're going to be able to support themselves, and in 10 years that they're going to be okay. That isn't really the message that we want to send, because we live in a world that is beyond these, how many square miles are we? Whatever, right? And so the competitiveness comes into us. People can access employment, opportunities all over the world. They can recruit from Cayman very, very easily, as well as people physically in the Cayman Islands can recruit from elsewhere. I'm always shocked when people send me something and they're like, "Oh, Miss Sandy, this person got rolled over in this job and now they're sitting halfway around the world still doing the job." I was like, welcome to the 21st century, y'all. This has been going on a very long time. And there's nothing, zero, zilch, nada, that the Cayman Islands government, immigration, or anybody else can do about that. Yes, I can have someone, and I do it myself. I'm here in the Cayman Islands, and Renee's in the United States, and she does writing for me. I don't have to take out a work permit for Renee. She gets paid in the US to her US account. She's a freelancer. And these are the realities that, a lot of our people don't seem to quite understand when it comes to understanding the competitiveness of the world in which we live. Get ready, folks. It's here. So Miss Sue said both of my girls work part-time while in school. Good for them. Now the grandsons are from 18 and up. Yes, internships too. Salvin says 16 to legally have sex. Why not? Be the same for employment. Well, I think they need to raise that age of consent, honey Jill. It really shouldn't be 16, but anyway. Donna says a lot of the SciFec children are working in the supermarkets right now. Good morning, Miss Sonia. Miss Sue says waiting to go to college. Some kids need a break from school and then go to college later. Well, yes. I mean, sometimes a break is necessary for a child to mature and to do other stuff. But in most instances, taking a break is not in the best interest of children. I've seen it a lot because that break becomes a permanent break. Not all the time. Louise says she should be allowed even a part-time job and her typo errors can be overlooked. Some of the people in the job market can't even speak English. Well, it certainly depends on the type of job she wants. And those are going to be minimum wage jobs. So I don't expect this young lady to be complaining about the fact that she's only going to get a minimum wage job. And if she's bagging groceries at Foster's, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So yeah, I'm all for kids once they are ready. And I guess, they need to have a conversation with their parents to ensure that they are ready for this. So this person says, Bobby made a comment, said there's clearly is a gap that needs to be addressed. If child support stops at 16 in Cayman and children graduate then as well, they shouldn't be permitted legally to enter the workplace. Then they should be permitted legally to enter the workplace. Now, child support doesn't actually stop at 16. It stops at 16 or when the child has completed getting their education. So if a child goes on to university, child support actually continues until they could be well in their 20s. So that's not quite 100% correct, Bobby, but your point is taken. Somebody says, it seems quite apparent by many of the comments here that there's a disconnect about the time spent in the education system and the ages at which students will or will not or should begin working. Maybe, just maybe, someone should be looking at the outcomes and quality of the education system and preparing the students for their future in today's economies. Robert hits the nail on the head. Are the students being prepared for success or failure? And how do they compare to their high school graduate peers in other developed Western nations? Where's the Ministry of Education in this issue? Isn't it their responsibility? Now, I know that Soka laughing at this one because he spelled there wrong, but I'm not going to say anything about it. That's Soka's job. Isn't it their responsibility, along with the parents, to ensure the youth are adequately prepared? I couldn't agree with him more. Robert, yes. I wholeheartedly agree with you. And I think that, the system is failing kids and so are the parents. Because nobody's really willing to buckle down and to get it done. In the American model, you stay in school pretty much till you're 18. So should we be looking at changing the model where you're not even coming out at 16? A lot of kids are not entirely mature at the age of 16, even to hold a job. But of course, one of the ways that you get them ready is you just kind of push them out there, get a little summer job, do a little something. So I think there's nothing wrong in principle, but I don't know what her expectations are in terms of trying to find employment at 16. A lot of employers they don't want the messiness that comes with hiring a 16-year-old. Are they going to be able to get a ride? Because maybe they don't even drive yet. What age do you get your driver's license in Cayman? What's the age for that? They got to rely on somebody giving them a ride. If the parents are not reliable, then that's a whole other issue. Yeah. So Bobby also says that she's volunteered through the years at various literacy programs And it's devastating to see how many children suffer with literacy in the government schools, elementary through high school, despite all the resources available to government to address this issue. It's also amazing to see what a difference of 30 minutes of reading a week, one-on-one with an adult, can make over a school year to a child. What children need are opportunities and support to help them thrive. Sending a child back to the same school that allowed them to graduate like this isn't going to help them. Jesus, praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
Bobby dropping some truth bombs this morning. Would be great to hear ideas on how to help children in these situations overcome the obstacles they face, i.e., community members come forward to put on workshops for how to do interviews on communication basics, life skills, etc. Yes. What a mess. Nicole says, I graduated and started working at 15. My father had to sign my employment contract because I was too young. I left home less than a month later, and I'm forever grateful for my bit of time growing up overseas. It gave me my street smarts to take care of myself. And I swear the kids are being pushed by the system before they have the proper life tools. Maybe back in the day, they could work, but now we need to fix it before we end up with adults that don't know how to take care of themselves or contribute to society. Child, in middle school, I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit. In middle school, I was taking candies to school. Like I'd buy the big pack and I was reselling them and making myself a little profit because I had stuff that I needed money for. Ms. Darlene Manzanera says 16 is much too young to leave school. Everton says, ladies, stop having too many kids at a young age, and then you turn around and put the pressure on these kids to find a job to help. Yes, a teenager at the age of 16 or 17 can have a part-time job, but parents, stop putting the pressure on your children to get a job to help out. You're messed up. You messed up. They didn't mess up. Yeah, like I said, I think every situation is different. Like some children just want to work. They don't have to work. And I think it's good to encourage young people to, start early to learn some life skills. But it shouldn't be, and I agree with Everton, it shouldn't be a situation where a child is feeling the pressure to work, to contribute to the household, or to even try to get out on their own at 16. That's really, really hard. The Cayman model is a little bit different, I think, than other places, because in the Cayman model, y'all stay home till you're 50. And your mama's still cooking for you and getting up every morning, treating you like a little baby, especially if you're a man. Let's talk about the Caribbean for a little bit. I don't know about the rest of the Caribbean, but in the Cayman Islands, women are definitely treated differently than men. Women are expected to mature and grow up a lot quicker than the men of this generation. They're pampered and babied, and they don't know how to wash dishes. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to do anything because somebody's always going to be there to take care of them. And that's the expectation that they have. And so a lot of them stay home forever. Oh, I got to stay home till I can afford to build my own place. And it's like, most places in the world, that's not really how it happens. You kind of get kicked out on your own a lot quicker than that. It's like, honey, go find a job. If you're going to go to school, go take out student loans, go do that. You better go make it on your own. Lady Gangster says, laughing. LMFAO. But it's true, Lady Gangster. You know what I'm talking about. They be so used to mama cooking that when they finally have a wife and she's like, I ain't cooking you stew conch every Sunday, steamed fish on a Saturday. It's like they're on a schedule already. Jonathan says that he was a busboy from 12 to 15 at CV Hotel on weekends, holidays, and all other breaks. Yeah, that's good. And I think the other thing that's important here is children should be allowed to learn how to manage their money, right? So they get a little part-time job. Hopefully you don't need to be stealing out of your children's piggy banks to help you pay the bills. Teach them about you make $1, save 50 cents. The other 50 cents is for right now leisure. When you become an adult, that's got to be for your bills. So there's a way to also incorporate teaching them quite a bit about life skills through the process of getting employment and so forth, even at the age of 16. So Renee says the problem is not with the kids leaving school early. The problem is that the children are being through the educational system, but they can't even read or write properly. I appreciate that some kids may be slower than others, but this does not mean that they should be allowed to move to the next grade if they have not learned anything. There has to be some standard in the education system because in the last 10 to 12 years, it has gone from bad to worse. In addition to parents not being involved, so a lot of kids don't have the discipline and humbleness to understand that school is very important and that those wasted years will come back and bite them in the ass. I'm led to think that this person may have wasted those years as well, and now it's hard for them to get a job unless the resume is being looked over due to the many grammatical errors. And so I don't know what jobs this young lady has even attempted to apply for, and what has been holding her back. But yes, things like, you can't even put together a proper resume. You don't know what to do in an interview. All those things can be detrimental to you, even at the age of 16. Most employers don't have the luxury of hiring people for charity work. Like they need people to actually do a job and do it to some degree of, efficiency. So Soka says, encourage your children to read. Books were always in my life and my children's. It's helped tremendously with grammar and spelling. And we know that Soka, bow to Soka, she is the grammatical queen. Child, I have an English degree and she be telling me how it be going half the time. But I must admit, in my case, a lot of it is being a little bit too quick and not proofreading and that sort of thing. But even when you proofread, Grammarly, I use Grammarly because it's one of the tools when you're writing a lot you just need. And half the time Grammarly is like, no, change this, and they change it to something wrong. I'm like, Grammarly, you're making me look stupid. Now Soka gonna be messaging me again. So Jonathan says there's nothing wrong with a little work at a young age. Miss Sue also thinks that 16 is too young to leave school, so they must continue their education. Child, Miss Soka, Sue, don't let Miss Soka see you using the word they are wrong because she can soon tell you about yourself. Good morning, Barbara. She said she forgot to sign in. Sue also says that these kids need a lot of support from, there's that word there again, families and parents to work, to find work or to go. Yeah. And, sometimes, parents can find within their own workplace, I know this has happened, they can actually find employment opportunities. And so the kids can ride to work with them and they're working in the mailroom or whatever kind of thing, right? Dean Gillette is all for giving them a chance. They'll develop discipline and experience. Yes. Listen, I was taking my baby to work when she was like 6 months old, And luckily, I do work for myself, and we had a little area that we could set out with a little playroom and whatever, a little play area. But she has to understand that mommy is actually self-employed. And so, when she's like, oh, Mom, where are you going? And I'm like, oh, honey, child, it's 7:00, but I got to go and cover a live streaming event. That's work for mommy. You want to come to work? She's like, no, I'm bored. Sometimes I had to take her because dad wasn't home yet. I had to take her with me. She had to sit there until he could come pick her up. This is teaching kids. This is what you got to do when you work. And there's nothing wrong with kids, even if you have a family business, getting them involved in the family business and having them help out around the place. Because guess what? Nothing comes for free. You got to pay your bills. You got to pay a mortgage, CUC bills, and all these other things. And they have to know that that comes from somewhere. Every time they want to, oh, can I go to the toy store? Yeah, you got money? And then she's like, oh, use your card. I'm like, what card? I said, that's a debit card and you need to have money in the bank for it to work. It's not magic. It's not the magic tree that was growing money. Everton says, oh my gosh, not in the States at the age of 16, 17. They forced to get a job. My friends have a couple of businesses that hire these young people, and sometimes they can see the frustration in their face I myself sometimes I ask these what's going on, and they literally crying about what's going on at home. By the time you reach the age of 18, the parents want to kick you out of the house, and they say you grow up and say not responsible for you anymore. That's kind of the American way, but oftentimes it forces people to get it together a lot quicker than what happens in Cayman. Because, Caymanians, like I said, you got a 25, 30-year-old still staying at home, not really contributing to the bills, doing nothing. And there's not a whole lot of responsibility that comes with raising children in that particular fashion. And I have noticed a big difference between the men that we are raising and the young ladies. All right, Soka. All right, folks. So, don't know if you saw the follow-up story that was on our website yesterday. Yesterday morning we spent quite a bit of time talking about the heat wave in the UK and in Europe, and shock and surprisation to then find out that it was actually causing some fires around the place. Woo, crazy. But yes, there were people's homes were catching on fire because of the the heat. It's crazy, but this is the truth. So I felt kind of bad for those poor people losing their homes. Let me just message this guy. Okay. All righty. So one person says, at least she's trying despite her inadequacies. Sometimes we have to look past what they learned and their history, principles and personalities can be a great asset. I hope someone gives her a chance. One thing I know is some with the best education could use a little customer service skills. So rude. Another person, good morning, says it's unfair for these young Caymanians to compete with so many foreign nationals. We're the community is so saturated with work permits, it's ridiculous. I feel sorry for them because the country doesn't value young people as if they are the future. We'd rather talk about their maturity and missing the big picture. If a family can afford to send the child to college, what next? How can they even transition into the working community when work permit holders with no job walking around seeking work at any cost? Young people are being treated like they're all idiots. Not every 16-year-old thinks like a child. We all have to start somewhere. This is the real world, and some young people have it so hard, but we as adults just don't want to step back and think about things from a different angle. Thanks for that perspective, and I think that you make some very valid points. And there's also a bit of a reality. You have to take the contrast that is in your comments, right? Which include the fact that at 16 years old, they have to understand the competitiveness of the world in which we live. And it's not just extended to people here in the Cayman Islands, but even beyond. Like I said, you've got other people who don't physically have to be here to do your job. And that's not competition that you can do anything about, That's legit competition, and it is what it is. Oh yes, this person says, did you get my email that I sent you? Let's see. This person makes a note that internship is a great start. My two boys have had great careers, which started with an internship within their respective companies, and they worked at DART and CNB. Yeah. And I think that's wonderful and so incredibly important because yes, there are organizations. And I was saying this to someone the other day, which I think is an interesting point, that a lot of the internship opportunities are taken on by bigger organizations and bigger companies. And I feel like sometimes it's a little bit unfair. Like I was speaking specifically about law firms, and I said, yes, everybody has an expectations that the Walkers and the Maples of the Cayman Islands will provide certain, training opportunities, scholarships, and so on. but they're not the only ones. There are other smaller law firms, right? That, have maybe 5, 6 attorneys or whatever, but they still have a lot of work and they still have a lot going on. And I'm like, listen, they can offer internships. And I understand that when you're a smaller company, it is more difficult because maybe you don't even have a dedicated HR person, but they can also offer work experience and internship opportunities to our young people as well. And a lot of that is simply not happening. And I think it's unfortunate because it's a missed opportunity. You've got to spread it out. You can't expect just because someone is at a big company or just the big organizations are going to be the ones to offer internships, and that's it. So thank you for this. This person sends this email that they sent to the premier. They said, "Hi, Wayne. It's important that students understand the value of attaining quality education, key skills, and building a professional resume in order to compete in the working world. Can the Minister of Education introduce a student resume into the school system from year 1 of middle school? At this point, all students in middle school and high school should have a drafted student resume. Volunteer and community services should be rewarded by providing incentives to encourage student participation. Summer jobs must be recorded on their resume. The government, ministries and portfolios, departments, sections and units, statutory authorities and government companies, the Chamber of Commerce, the private sector must all take part in offering select high school students only job opportunities. And those jobs must not be shredding or filing." I don't know. Students need grooming and mentoring and to gain real world experience through summer jobs and internships. So sometimes you got to start with the shredder and the filer. That's kind of where you begin, in the file room, and you work your way up. The Ministry of Education, teachers, parents, and students must all work cohesively to provide guidelines and support to ensure that all kids are well equipped to be successful members of the community. In addition, let students review newspaper ads in various fields to understand job descriptions and requirements needed. That's good. Invite recruiters from various agencies to speak about the job application process. Invite the managers of each government department to outline what roles fall under their leadership. For example, Lizette Yearwood at HSA, organizational chart of various fields. Have a career day, have a passport to success day, and have a responsible citizen day, and have a RISE mentoring program. And the person provided the link and what that means. Just my 2 cents. Yeah, definitely some good suggestions in there for sure. All right, let's do a few announcements for your benefit. So the Cayman Islands Fire Service is recruiting. So again, young people, if you're looking for job opportunities, this is where you got to know what is being offered out there. Cayman Islands Fire Service is having, both in Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac, they're having a recruitment drive. Let me just get you the dates in case you missed it. We posted it on social media. I think, right. So the Grand Cayman recruitment drive is July the 22nd. And it's going to be at Spots Dock at between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. So the 22nd is that Friday? Yes, that's Friday from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. The recruitment drive in Cayman Brac is going to be tomorrow. And I believe, let me just have a quick look here. I believe that one is at the Ashton Ruddy Center. So they're going to have a drive there as well for Cayman Brac. So if you're potentially interested, yes, that one is the 21st, which is tomorrow, same time, 3 to 7 p.m. at the Aston Ruddy Center in Cayman Brac. So if you're interested in finding out more about a career with the Cayman Islands Fire Service, go show up. talk to their representatives. Also on the BRAC, they have a informational session on preventing elder abuse that is going to be held on July the 26th at the Cayman BRAC Heritage House from 10 until 11. So this is really good. It talks about the different types of abuse, warning signs, the impact of elderly abuse, and how to obviously prevent it. If you're interested in finding out more, and you might require some transportation, even on the BRAC, you can contact Miss Julene Scott at DCFS. It's Julene, JULIANNE .Scott at dcfs.gov.ky. 948-2331 is her telephone number. So we'll add this to our community calendar, and just for your reference, you can access the community calendar via our website right there. And I'm sure I'm going to send it to Kevin as well so that he can stick it up in the news segment. So these are important things. Listen, I'm always surprised when people talk about, oh, this isn't available and that isn't available. There is a lot that is available here and that's offered here. And sometimes we don't know about it. And other times, you know about it and you just don't go. So take advantage of these services, because I think the more that whether it's DCFS or whoever can demonstrate that these offerings are being taken advantage of, the more they can put them in their budget and they can actually justify doing it and offering free courses, free seminars, all sorts of good stuff, right? Let's see what else is going on. Oh yes, tomorrow as well, there is the event at the Parliament House, where basically they're going to be celebrating the 50th year of Parliament House. Let me just see if I can. Let me just see if I can find this for you guys. But again, this is a wonderful opportunity for all of you to definitely get involved. Parliament House. Let me see if I can find this one. All right. So it's the 50th anniversary of Parliament. So it's a hearty celebration. Cayman Islands Parliament Building will be celebrating its 50th anniversary tomorrow. This is Thursday from 6 until 8 p.m. And they have an entire program. So the then Legislative Assembly building was officially opened on July the 31st of 1972. Wow. So come on out and celebrate. Mr. McKeeva Bush, as you know, Speaker of the House. This is the sort of thing that falls under his responsibility. So we're going to have a lecture and an outdoor celebration. Members of Parliament and invited guests will attend a special lecture in the chamber of the House, and the presentation will be by the Honorable Dr. Lloyd Barnett, who's going to focus on the separation of powers of the legislature, executive, and judiciary. Sounds like it's going to be nice. So yeah, come on out and enjoy that. So they say that they're going to have food and beverages available for participants of the festivities, local catering provided. Oh my gosh, including conch stew, as well as fruit juices and sodas. Cash bar, accepting card payments only, will be available to guests wanting to buy alcoholic beverages. So it's a 2-hour program from 6 until 8 p.m. tomorrow. Live performances, stuff by local artists. So we will definitely be there participating in this. And this evening, there's an evening meeting in Savannah. So this is the, let me see here now. This is the district meeting with the NRA, and I think the police will be there as well, happening in the District of Newlands. Let me tell you exactly the location. You got to put all these things in your calendar so you can remember. So that's this evening at 7 o'clock at the Savannah United Church Hall, right here in Savannah. So we'll stick this up again on our events calendar, and I'll also share this on Facebook for you guys. So come on out, make sure that you're involved in your community. You can't sit back and argue all the time if you don't even know what's going on and you're not willing to learn and you're not willing to participate. So that's a Newland Savannah community meeting this evening at 7 p.m. at the Savannah United Church Hall. Yep. All right. Sounds good. A couple more minutes left in the program. I'm just grabbing some of this stuff so I can pass on to be added to the calendar. So, all right. So listen, people are asking for a vehicle that is, I don't know what the deal is with it. It's broken down on the 7 Mile quadrant, right like the junction to go to Public Beach. You can actually ironically see the new Dart Hotel, I think that's being built in the background. I think that's what that is. Maybe not. Maybe that's another building. But it's right there, like you can turn to go, further up past the Kimpton West Bay Road. It is pulled over to the side, but it's all broken down and it's a real eyesore. Broken beer bottles right inside of it, beside the vehicle. And people are wondering why this vehicle is still at that location. So I don't know who it belongs to, but we cannot have vehicles all over our roadway that is creating a hazard. This is a public health hazard, a safety hazard. At night when people might not be fully paying attention, somebody could easily run into that vehicle, or even a cyclist because it's in the bike lane. So whoever owns this vehicle, can you please make arrangements to move your vehicle? You can't afford it, then you probably need to think twice about having a vehicle. There's certain things that you have to know that as a vehicle owner that you have to be able to afford. If you own a vehicle, you got to be able to afford the insurance, for example, because that's against the law if you don't. And the ability to tow a vehicle, work it out, but it's a real eyesore. Selvin says, can you say how the holistic needs of our young people are assessed to inform policy? Maybe this is a gray area warranting a solution. Well, I don't know if there's any singular agency or department that looks at that, but I think DCFS plays a big role, as well as the education ministry. And unfortunately, the education ministry is one of those ministries that we hear very little from in terms of like the policymakers coming on a program and talking about it. Thank you so much to our radio listeners for tuning in. We will definitely see you guys tomorrow morning, God's willing, at 7:30 a.m.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.